People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, Arsenal's fixtures for the 2024-25 season have been released. Allegedly, Arsenal are to make an offer for Osimhen. I know I don't necessarily believe it either, but it makes for a great talking point. And we've been linked with Marc Guehi again. We've been linked with him before. Obviously, his performance for England against Serbia is probably going to go under the radar for a bunch of reasons. You know, Gareth Southgate and his tactics for one, Phil Foden for another, Bukayo Saka for another. Obviously Jude Bellingham, and there's probably other talking points. But I do think Marc Guehi's performance went under the radar and he did quite well. I have my own concerns about the quality of options at centre-half for England, but in relation to the options in the squad, I do think John Stones and Marc Guehi are the players that are probably best suited. And he did well in Crystal Palace. They've got a new manager. They've got some exciting players, but it seems like everybody's got their eyes on and wants their hands on their players. You know, Wharton's in the England squad and doing quite well. Eze's got a release clause and is always linked with moves away. Elise technically can play for England, plays for France at youth level or international level, better yet. He's linked with a move away. And now you've got Marc Guehi. Now, the good news for Crystal Palace is you're going to make a lot of money if you sell even two of those players. You know, Elise apparently 60 million release clause, Eze 60 odd million. You know, Marc Guehi, because obviously he's playing well and he's English and the Premier League is what it is, people pay a premium, is probably going up every performance that he has, people. So yeah, man, let me know your thoughts on what you feel of me saying those things, and let me know your thoughts throughout. Let me share my screen and let's get into it. Now, I'm bored of the Osimhen stuff. I think if the deal makes sense, if for argument's sake, if Arsenal do have an admiration for Osimhen and the intent to bring in a striker and it makes sense for the budget and the long-term planning, then I think they will look to do it. I do think with Kai Havertz's form since the turn of the year probably makes Arsenal a lot more comfortable where the striker market is concerned. I don't know where you lot are, but ideally, striker, winger, central midfielder, and anything else Mikel Arteta wants. If you can bring me a forward and not necessarily find a wide man and we have to use internal options, I wouldn't necessarily be happy, but it's not the end of the world, and vice versa where a striker is concerned, people. Osimhen would be a big good look for Arsenal. Again, I feel like we're repeating the same things. You know, he's got a hefty asking price and his wages probably would be handsome. As you can see via this headline now, as we know, what is reported in the newspapers and what's actually going on in the world of football are very different things. Nonetheless, Arsenal willing to pay up to 75 million euros for 17-goal attacker this season. 75 million euros, that's about 60 odd million quid, which, you know, again, isn't the most, pardon me, groundbreaking of fees. And Osimhen would provide us a lot because it's a weird one, because we got 91 Premier League goals last year, over 100 when you consider all the other comps. The season before, we got healthy numbers. So on the face of it, do we probably overestimate Arsenal's need for a striker? I believe yes, because we've got many people who can score goals. I believe no, because there's a lot of positives and negatives. And what I mean by that is, unless something crazy happens, which I hope isn't the case, I know Arsenal will be one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League. But I just don't know who will get the goals, with the exception of Bukayo Saka, who's done it for the last 2 or so years. He's the only one that I'd bet my life savings on. The rest have the capacity, but there's a lot of volatility. Now, we hope Kai Havertz's form maintains, but, you know, he doesn't have a proven goal scoring record throughout his career. Trossard can get goals, but you look at the last 2 years, yes, he joined us mid-season when he did sign, but again, fluctuation. Gabriel Jesus can get double figures. Goals are not a strong point of his. Martinelli, there's been a lot of volatility. Odegaard got decent numbers, but it wasn't the 15 or whatever he got the year before that. So it's a bit of a weird one. And no matter what we say, there are some times, maybe in the Champions League, where we've needed some individual brilliance, whether that's a player that, you know, can dazzle and do something eye-catching and get us out of trouble, or a proven goal scorer. Or you look at the December period where, you know, we just needed someone to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, I said in December, and I say it again, I think those issues around our players were psychological at the time, because those very same players scored goals for fun come the end of the season. You know, there was a period, it was great being an Arsenal fan last year, but there was a period in our season we're just rocking up at away grounds, scoring a couple of goals early, and then the Sky Sports or whatever, they would pan away from the pitch and you'd see thousands of rival fans or whatever leaving the stadium. It's easy to link us with Osimhen. The Sesko move didn't happen, you know, so the Seskos, the Zertskis, these guys are going to consistently be linked with us as the journalists are scrambling to link Arsenal with stuff, because it seems quite quiet. I say quiet to us fans. We don't know what's going on, not just Arsenal, but all the other clubs. It feels like the calm before the storm, before the transfer window really kicks into gear. But allegedly, Arsenal are interested in signing Osimhen this summer. The striker is expected to move away from Italy in the coming weeks and has been linked with clubs in the Premier League as well as Saudi Arabia. According to journalist Walter Di Maggio, forgive me for mispronunciation, relayed by Calcio Napoli, Arsenal are keen on securing the Nigerian signature this summer, but they're unwilling to pay more than 75 million euros. So again, obviously, if we believe reports in Chelsea, Arsenal, PSG think it's too expensive, then, Napoli, I guess they don't care because you have a great striker in Osimhen, but you wouldn't, him getting an extension and a release clause, it hasn't had the desired effect. Now, I do think it's a bit of a poker face. You got to remember, we're in June. The window don't close until September. I'm sure all the other clubs have different things that they're trying to get done at the same time, and we don't know all the other ins and outs that we'd be privy to if we was in Napoli's office or Arsenal or elsewhere. It'll be interesting to see if Napoli are willing to sanction his departure for that kind of money. The Italian outfit values him at 120 million euros. However, it's fair to assume that his suitors are unlikely to pay that kind of money for him. Again, if the deal makes sense, I think we get it done. I think Sesko would have been a great market opportunity. Obviously, he's elected to stay at Leipzig, and we have to see where that's going. We know he's a top quality player, people, where Osimhen's concerned. He got 17 goals last season. Again, but it comes down to the price tag. And it would be nice to have a reliable hitman, but I can't see that happening. 1 minute Chelsea are moving away from going for Osimhen. Now, apparently, they're still interested. Now, for Arsenal and all these other clubs, being interested, having the willingness to, to negotiate, putting bids down, this is a whole different thing. So we'll have to watch that one there closely. Now, The Athletic have been speaking about Arsenal in relation to the Estonian international Karl Hein. The 22-year-old apparently is close to signing a contract extension before going out on loan. He needs vital club experience, people. Big up Amari Hutchinson. Apparently, Ipswich are interested in re-signing him on a permanent basis. But if we scroll all the way down, Arsenal's top target to strengthen their forward line, Benjamin Sesko, has signed an improved deal with Leipzig until 2029. It's a blow to Arsenal, who had positioned themselves as the most attractive destination had Sesko decided to move, which he hasn't. One area where Arsenal may have, I can't say that word, but let's just say reassigned their need for reinforcements is in goal. Obviously, Karl Hein allegedly has been persuaded to stay. He probably goes out on loan. So, we know David Raya is going to be made permanent. It is probably likely Aaron Ramsdale leaves. Who is going to be the third choice goalie? Because Arthur Okonku's left, James Hilson's left. You'd imagine maybe an academy boy takes up that spot, or if you can go out and find our very own Scott Carson, someone that's good in the squad, can train, keep morale up, but not going to play, then there we have it. And that's before even talking about who replaces Aaron Ramsdale, essentially, man. Arteta loves a goalie, innit? But we know we need a goalie. We know we need a left back based on reports that Arteta wants that. Central midfield, wide and striker options, wouldn't go amiss where Arsenal are concerned. Apparently, we're not too disheartened by Sesko's decision. We always knew apparently there was a strong possibility he could stay at Leipzig, and we're going to continue to follow him and maintain that relationship. So while I think, I would be a lot more bullish on Arsenal winning trophies if we do sign a striker in all the other areas, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I could understand if there's not a striker that wholeheartedly convinces, saying, do you know what, park off a striker for another year, we'll deal with what we have internally, look to bring in a winger, and the players that weren't in form last year, get them back up to speed. The players that were in form, make sure that maintains or gets better, and then we're laughing. The dynamics for Sesko change next season, innit? Because it's gone from a release clause to a gentleman's agreement to leave. Obviously, the striker market is rubbish at the moment, generally, in terms of being littered for quality. I can't imagine this time next year it will change dramatically if he keeps doing what he's doing. Leipzig are laughing. The Premier League clubs will be fighting against each other. And, Arsenal do have money to spend. We do have quite a lot of money, but, when you get the oil state clubs involved, it's very different. And there was a lot of clubs allegedly interested. So we're not learning anything new, people. Apparently, we've shifted priority slightly. Apparently, with Eddie Nketiah or Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz and Trossard. Trossard had a stinker for Belgium, didn't he, in their first game in the Euros. We've shifted attention. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus has been linked with moves away. I still believe in him, but he needs to prove his ability and actually stay fit. Eddie Nketiah, you'd imagine, you never know, he could stay, but that's someone that's going to be let go to bring some money in. Trossard is cool, but you'd imagine he's predominantly going to play out wide. And, Kai Havertz, is fair to say, you look a lot better up front than necessarily, in midfield. And you've been a revelation. I do think he's a contender for Arsenal and Premier League signing of the season, or he's in the conversation. Would I give it to him? him? No, because really and truly, it's been for not half a season, but really he found his feet at the turn of 2024, and in the sense of just 2024, Kai Havertz has a claim to be Arsenal's best player just based on January to May. People, big up Kai Havertz, man. In that regards, apparently Arsenal need another midfielder to complement Declan Rice, which is music to my ears. The indications are that Arsenal are leaning towards adding a number 6 rather than a number 8, as they feel there are more attractive options in the market. So that probably means Declan Rice will continue to, get to grips with being a number 8 and all those other facets in his game. Apparently, we all know Reece Nelson has apparently informed the club he wants to reassess his options for the potential transfer possibilities this summer. It'd be interesting to see what we do with Aaron Ramsdale and Reece Nelson, because on the face of it, unfortunately for them, their days appear numbered. But would Arsenal allow Nelson to go without bringing in another wide man? Would we let Aaron Ramsdale go until it's confirmed we bring in a backup goalie? Both are on the contract, having signed new contracts recently. And we all know Smith Rowe as well could be someone who could depart rather than the others. Football Insider apparently said we're in no rush to sign a new centre forward after Kai Havertz's performances as well, people. So that correlates with what we've seen. In relation to Marc Guehi, Arsenal among the clubs ready to test the resolve of Crystal Palace with regards to the transfer situation of key defender Marc Guehi, with Newcastle United also interested. Sources with a close understanding of the situation have told Court Offside that Arsenal and Newcastle are keen on Guehi and that both clubs could try to get negotiations going by making opening bids to Palace for the England international. How much movement can be made as he's concentrating on the Euros, people, as it says there. I would love Guehi at the carpet, man, to have 3 good defenders. Guehi, Saliba, obviously Gabriel, the luxury of, God forbid, because they're all playing in other roles, but Declan Rice, Benjamin White, Tomiyasu, Timber can all deputise at centre-half, as long with Kyrgios as well, because I think we're quite weak in defence, really. God forbid if something happens, we're in trouble, really and truly. It's not the same, and there's many other reasons, but you look at the season we challenged for the Premier League and we lost out to City and Rob Holding had to play. And you look at, Saliba, who was fit for the majority of that season, but Saliba played every game last year and we ran it down to the final day. Now, if I'm Guehi, I'm sure the attraction to stay at Arsenal, to stay in London, to sign for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, all the things he's doing, there's many good reasons. And if you make the step up to whatever club, if Newcastle go to where they want to go to, if Arsenal go to where they want to go to, if Man United get back to being what they are, competition, it's going to happen. You're never going to have a free run. But if you're Guehi, you've got Gabriel and Saliba. Saliba, arguably top 3 centre-halves, or based on form, the best performance centre-half last season. Are you going to get first-team football in that relationship? Now, if you believe you can take a spot, that's the mentality I like. But does it make sense? And likewise, where Arsenal are concerned, where you look at Diamonde, Guehi, a couple of them can play in other roles. We were linked with Deluded, even though I don't think people are buying that. Neither am I. Will Arsenal spend significantly on a centre-half where you could argue, it'd probably be best to overpay in the central midfield, maybe overpaying it where a winger's concerned. And again, the striker thing, I am starting to believe we're not going to get a forward, but you get the point. He's 23 years of age. And for Crystal Palace, it's testament to their recruitment that Wharton's been there 2 minutes. Clubs already monitoring him, allegedly Arsenal and City. Obviously, at the start of this video, we spoke about Elise and Eze, and I'm sure Crystal Palace want to hold on to all 3. I'm sure they only probably want to let one of those go, really and truly. But I would not mind Guehi at the carpet, if I'm honest with you, but I just can't see it happening. We've entered the race for Guehi, allegedly. Chelsea are always linked with him here and there. Zertsky will almost certainly leave Bologna after the European Championships. We all know he's been linked with AC Milan, and he's now been linked with Juventus. He's got a £40-odd million release clause, 40-odd million euros, apologies. We've been here before, people, and he actually can play in a number of roles. Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Juventus are all monitoring proceedings. It's getting a bit boring in that regards, people. Should we see what's been said here? Golovin has issued a come and get me plea to Arsenal. He said he wants to sign for Arsenal. I think that one there is gone. We've been linked with Lunin. I mean, anyone that watched Ukraine in the Euros probably could see, nah, you're not the guy. And it doesn't make sense because, you're behind Courtois. Raya is not on the same level as Courtois, but you're going to be number 2. So what's the point leaving Real Madrid? Respectfully to Arsenal, would you rather sit on Real Madrid's bench or Arsenal's bench? The weather is probably what would make it for me, and you'd pick up some Champions League titles. So I just think that's creative journalism once again. We've spoken about Osimhen and Karl Hein. Obviously, we're playing Wolves on the opening day of the Premier League, people, and you can see the fixtures there. Just if you haven't, we kick off the season with Wolves, then we play Aston Villa and then Brighton. Then we've got Spurs, City, Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, Newcastle, Chelsea, Forest, West Ham United, Manchester United, that is, Fulham, Everton, Crystal Palace, Ipswich Town, Brentford. And then, you know, for 2025, we kick off the new year. Again, bearing in mind, this is subject to TV rights changes and dependent on where we go in competitions. Brighton, Spurs, Villa, Wolves, City, Leicester, West Ham United, Forest, Manchester United away, as well as Chelsea back-to-back in March. Oof. Then we've got Fulham at home. Then we've got Everton, Brentford, Ipswich Town, Crystal Palace. The penultimate month of next year, of the season next year in May, people, we've got Bournemouth, a trip to Anfield in Liverpool, Newcastle United and Southampton. For my more extended opinions on such, people, check out the video I've done. I actually released a video at the time of making this video this morning in relation to how I feel about the fixtures. So yeah, I've got you lot covered. Arsenal are still linked with Onana. Belgium were terrible in their first game, innit? I mean, VAR did them dirty, but still, Arsenal and Bayern are both interested in signing Everton and Belgian midfielder Onana. We've heard that before. And once again, you can see the lineup in full. Have we missed anything else out? No, we haven't. That's just a random tab that doesn't need to be open. So with that being said, people, let me know your thoughts on Guehi, on Osimhen, on the fixtures. Check out the rest of the other content. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.